Uh,
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
Welcome, Charan. How
Welcome,
you
welcome.
doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Welcome to No Better Time. I'm here. This is Phil Salter. I'm here with Charan Prabhakar, my friend that goes way back.
Gosh, man, we go so far back. I think we were like discussing beforehand. It was like 2006 or 2007, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy, dude. How fast time flies. It's insane.
I mean, time is kind of like we haven't necessarily like communicated much beyond like social media, but I've always kind
Yeah.
of just you've always been a really supportive, awesome guy. We were
Uh,
like in a church congregation that was made for singles back in the day,
yes. Yeah.
and
And you graduated. Congratulations to you. I'm like a ultra super duper senior that is still there.
yeah,
Just in that congregation. So,
yeah, man, you're on the market, so
oh my, yeah.
eligible bachelor,
Yes.
looking good,
I
looking real good, man.
don't know, man. I got like so much salt and pepper right now. I don't know.
Dude,
So,
I love that. I think it
yeah.
looks really great.
So it was funny. I was actually dating a girl because I used to dye my hair all the time,
Hmm.
only because of roles. I would get certain acting roles, and I wanted to. My face looks kind of young, and so with the dark hair, I would still play younger roles. And I was dating this girl, and she saw that I was having gray come through, and she's like, "Wait, how long has that been a thing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna go ahead and dye it, so don't worry." She's like, "Wait, no, don't you dare dye it. Let's see what happens." I'm like, okay, are you sure?" She's gonna trust me, and so anyway, it came out like total salt and pepper. And the funny thing is, I get way more roles now. It's like the craziest thing. So I'll take it.
I think it's great, man. It's very distinguished and classy, dude. In
Mm,
fact, I didn't know because I remember like I'd seen you on like social media and all, and then you had the salt and pepper going on. I don't know if you did it for a role, but
no.
it doesn't look like you did it like faked it or something. It just looks really good. But
Someone actually asked me just the other day. They're like, "Hey, have you been dyeing your hair to make it look like this? Because it looks awesome." And I'm like, "No, this is all
it'd be a
God."
lot of work because it's like so evenly like
I know.
distributed, you know.
Like, no, this is all God. That's not that. This is not anything that I'm doing.
Yeah, and if you're just listening to this rather than seeing the video, this isn't as interesting to you, maybe, or at least don't have the visual of it. But
Yes, yes.
trust me, he's looking good.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I reached out to you recently because I started this new podcast, and it's one of those things that it's one of those things you kind of put yourself out there, and it's kind of gonna be scary to try something new and
yeah,
put your voice out there and say, hey, I have something that people might be interested to hear, and it's this balance of like, what am I doing this for? Is it for me to grow? Is it to get attention? I don't know, maybe some of both. And you, Charon, are an actor, and you moved out to California, and I think you've since moved back to Utah. I didn't know that until
yeah,
today.
yeah.
And that was a big risk for you.
It was a huge risk, but it felt like the right thing to do. I mean, we were having this discussion just a little bit before, but back in 2008, I acted in a movie called One Man's Treasure, and you and I actually
Yeah.
auditioned for that movie together, which was hilarious. We were making the connection, and we actually filmed our audition tapes in the basement of none other than Donny Osmond, which is hilarious that we went over there and filmed this audition over there. But
Yes.
he had like a creepy basement, and we're like, all right, this is perfect. We'll use your basement. It's gonna be awesome.
That's right. There was like a certain crawl space area that was just like a dirt bottom.
Dirt bottom.
And
Yeah, and we
yeah,
were like,
yeah.
well, the ambience was perfect, so I was like, all right, let's just go shoot here. So funny enough, I did that film, and I'm giving you a lot of like information that you might not even need or want, but I'm going for it
No,
anyway.
it's interesting.
So while I was there and we were doing that, 2008 also happened to be my 10-year high school reunion, and the day of my reunion at the exact building. I mean, this is just like one of those like serendipitous hand of God type moments. There was this director I met like a couple hours earlier in the same building. They were having another meeting or something like that. So I met this guy who was a director, and he and I hit it off really well. And he was a very nice guy, and quite a bit older than me. And he basically was like, "Well, yeah, I am working on films and stuff, and let's just keep in touch." Well, while I was filming One Man's Treasure, I get this audition notice for like a suspense movie called The Mine, and I was reading through the description of it and everything like that, and it was this director that was directing it, and there happened to be one character that I was like, "Hey, I could audition for that character. Like that could fit me." And so I reached out to this director and I'm like, hey, is this your film? Like, can I audition for it? He's like, yeah, actually, I was hoping you would. So I went and I auditioned, and I didn't know what was going to happen because we had like series of auditions. And at the end of the day, he was like, you know what? I really like you for your role, but none of the other Utah talent I was overly excited about. So I'm going to LA. So I was like,
Mm.
oh shoot, if he goes to LA, like there's just no chance I'm gonna get it. But I was very fortunate and blessed, and I did end up getting that role. But all the other actors were all LA based, and I had a great time on that film. It was super fun, and I always say, hey, that film actually even got 5 stars on Netflix, and everyone's like, dude, no way, that's amazing. But I'm like, well, to be clear, only one and a half of those stars were colored red. Everything else was white. But 5 stars, dude. I 100%. So anyway, that's what I say to make myself feel better. It was
Yeah.
not written well, but the experience was amazing, right? And all the other actors were like, Sharon, what are you doing in Utah? Like, why are you trying to establish your career here? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I just never really considered moving to LA. And they said, well, listen, if you come out, we will help you. We will definitely like get you with like an agent or something, and we'll just help you get your foot in the door because you're awesome and we had a great time with you. And I thought that was super cool of them.
Hmm.
So that happened, and then another crazy thing that happened, which was just like, man, like all these signs were pointing me to go to LA, right? Um, I happened to teach snowboarding at Sundance. I've been doing this for a couple of years. What I'd also been doing at Sundance for a couple of years was pulling a prank on new instructors. And this the thing was, it wasn't my well, it was my idea originally, but the whole ski school was in on it. And what I would do is I would punk one of the new instructors that's never met me before, and I would say I was straight off the boat from India. I had no idea how to board, and I would make this poor girl teach me, and I'd have like a thick Indian accent. I'd have jeans on, a sweater, just the worst, right? Of course I knew what she was going to teach me, and I would like make it so like I just had no clue what was going on. And then halfway through the lesson I'd say a fake Indian prayer, and all of a sudden I can magically snowboard, right? And it's kind of this thing that's been going on for a while. Well, what was funny was this particular year Ben Stiller came and visited the resort with his wife, and my boss was teaching him how to board. And I briefly met Ben the day before I did the prank, and when I was doing the prank, he waved to me, but I didn't want to blow my cover, so I just kind of gave him like a little head nod. And he turns to my boss. He's like, "What the heck, man? Like this guy was so nice to me. Why is he just giving me like a little head nod, right?" And my boss is like, "No, no, no. Listen, he's got to be incognito. He's pulling this prank on this girl." So unbeknownst to me, Ben was watching me do this prank, right? So after done with the prank, and I'm back in the ski school year, just kind of like reviewing footage. He walks up to me and he's like, "Dude, can I just shake your hand?" I'm like, "What in the world is happening right now?" I'm like, yeah. And he's like, "Dude, like that was some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen." I'm like, "Are you serious? You were watching me do that thing?" And he's like, "Let me see some of the footage." And so I was showing him the footage, and there were moments, dude, when he was crying laughing. Like he was just crying laughing. I'm like, this is so bizarre. It's so crazy, right? Like,
Wow.
I wasn't I wasn't chasing after this. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, please
Yeah.
watch this thing. It just was happening. And afterwards, like the next day, he was asking me all about me and like what I wanted to do in life. And I said, well, I actually, I'm planning on moving to LA. I want to get into acting. He's like, oh, you want to be an actor? And I said, well, yeah, but listen, I don't want to bother you. You asked, so I told you. He said, no, 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 listen, dude, let me give you some advice. So he sat me down and he gave me 3 bits of advice. You know, he said, first off, like, he's like, you've got to like create your own path. He kept saying, create your own path. And then he also said you've got to persevere. Okay, create your own path, persevere. And he says, and then he also said, don't eat after midnight. I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. I don't. In fact, I forgot what the last thing he said was, but I remember like the biggest things were just like, hey, make sure you are creating your own path and you're persevering, and just like network, meet people, like connect with those
Hmm.
people, right? And that really struck me, right?
Hmm.
And so when I moved to LA, and he was so cool. Like he even gave me some phone numbers, like of his production company, of his assistant. He's like, "Look, I can't promise anything's going to actually happen, but when you get
Hmm.
out there, like go give him your material." So that was like a really cool boost for me, like a good like emotional boost, right?
Yeah.
what was interesting, and I know we were talking a little bit about this, was being authentic.
Yes.
And I think that was the key for me, was like that prank, all of that stuff was just like me being kind of like, this is like the authentic, like this is my humor, like this is what I want to do, like this is my creation type
Mm-hmm.
of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what like got people interested. If I was trying to like I mean, I know I'm acting, so I wasn't my who I was, but like again, that was like my version of it. Does that make sense? And
Yeah,
I
for
think that
sure.
that's been like the lesson I've learned throughout my entire life, through all the different roles I've played in acting. And I know we were talking a little bit about Silicon Valley, but like with all the different roles and stuff I've played, like the moment I took ownership of things and I brought my authentic voice to it, it would flourish. It would
Mm.
thrive. It would flourish the way it was supposed to flourish, I would say. And
Yeah.
I feel that's true, not just about acting and roles, but just about life. So,
Definitely. Oh, it's so true. And I think I find that myself is, like I said earlier, I'm doing this podcast and I always had this vision of like people really like being into something that I'm doing and being creative and creating
yeah,
something that people care about. But it's like I need to like step back and say like don't do this just like follow how many listens are there just for the sake of accomplishing people listening to something. But it's
yeah,
like I want to be authentic. I want to offer something that helps people and also grow in the process. And so it's really cool to hear you say that. And it doesn't mean that you don't put your best self forward or like do
yeah,
something like you were acting like in this, but you weren't doing it to impress Ben Stiller. It was Ben Stiller, right? Yeah, Ben
yeah.
Stiller, right? So that's a really great advice for anybody that's in any pursuit is to do it authentically and as yourself, and don't do it, I guess, to get some effect from somebody, right? Is that
I,
that make sense?
yeah, I think like for me, it's like always like, hey, look, when you're authentic, the creation of something is its reward, is the reward. Does that make
Yeah.
the
Yes.
sense of aliveness you feel is the reward? It's not about the money you're gonna be making. It's not about the like the potential fame, or so, it's not about the outside outcomes, right? That
Yeah.
could come down the road. It's about that sense of feeling alive right now. And
Yeah.
I think that's such an important thing. In fact, with some buddies of mine, also actors that you probably would recognize, Corbin Allred and Jason Wade, we created an acting course, an online
Oh.
acting course. And that was one of the things that we kept emphasizing over and over in that course, is that the reward of acting is that sense of aliveness you feel right now while you're doing it, at the moment you are doing it, right? And I think if people can live life like that,
Mm.
where they're not so worried about the outcome, but they're more focused on the process and the immediate joy they can have, that is the fuel that satisfies them, that keeps them going, keeps them doing things. And the money is the byproduct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fame is the byproduct, and all those things are the byproducts. But if you're looking at that as like, oh, this is my source of validation, this is my source of joy and happiness, it's going to be so empty,
Yeah.
because those things will never fulfill you.
Even if you get the things that you were going for to get that feeling, it's not going to fulfill you. That makes
Yeah.
sense. And
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of makes me think of your podcast that I've been listening
Yeah.
to, which it's funny. I reached out to you, and then I realized after, oh, you're on this like podcast, you're this host,
Mm.
and that's pretty cool. And it doesn't hurt to have some of my podcasts that also
Yeah.
knows about podcasts.
Yes.
But you started, you were telling me this before. You kind of started doing a thing just for fun and just for the passion of interacting with people. Could you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was last year, and when COVID hit, everyone in, like, so many people's industries shut down, including mine. And I, like everybody else, was just like, man, what am I going to do with my life? You know, how am I going
Yeah.
to spend my time? What should I be focusing on? And I remember, like, as I was praying about it and thinking about it, one of the big things I kept feeling was like, I need to do things that are fun for me. And the reason why I need to do things that are fun for me is because only when I'm having fun, like truly having fun, am I completely authentic. That was the feeling I kept getting, and it was such an interesting feeling. So many times I was living life for other people. They were like saying, other people were saying, "Oh, this is good and good, and you should be doing these type of things." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. I should do those things."
Mm,
And it wasn't like what they were saying was bad. It's just I just never checked in with my soul to really see, hey, is this what my soul wants? Is that what I really want? or am
Mm-hmm.
I just living life because of somebody else's expectations? And for so long, I was doing that. So COVID was a great reset for me, and
Mm.
it helped me to like think, what do I really want? And one of the things that like excited me was like, hey, I think it'd be kind of fun to like just do these like little Zoom podcasts, just talk to people and see what they're up to. And we called it going the social distance. There was nothing. There was no fancy budget or anything behind it. It was just, do you have a computer? I've got a computer. Do you have internet access? I've got internet access. Let's have
Mm-hmm.
a conversation. And so it was just that. It was doing that, and then I would just post it to my Facebook. Well, I started noticing people started liking it, and they were watching it, and they were like listening to it. And I'm like, wow, like this is cool. Like people seem interested in learning about other people, and it was all about sparking connection, especially
Mm-hmm.
when everyone felt isolated. And that's kind of what drove me, because I was hearing other people's stories. And one of the things I love doing is just to have good conversations anyway. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
why not make it a podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, while I was doing that, one of the last people I interviewed on that Going the Social Distance podcast was a guy by the name of Greg Trimble, who's an internet blogger, kind of a Mormon blogger. He's done a lot of good stuff in the internet marketing world. And I've always respected Greg. He's such a good guy. And while I was interviewing him, like after I finished interviewing him, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing with these Zoom podcasts?" And I'm like, "I don't know, like putting them on Facebook, so at least 12 or 13 people have like listened." You know, he's like, "Okay, well, that's very exciting for you." He said, "Well, listen, I have a digital marketing agency called the Lemonade Stand, and we're all about building and blessing. Like that's their main motto. And we've been wanting to have a podcast that just talks about people's cool stories and like what gets them motivated, what gets them excited, and what are their lemonade stand stories, and how do they
Mm-hmm.
change their life from lemons to lemonade when hard things hit them, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, while you're talking, we're having this interview, I keep feeling like you should be the host of our podcast. I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just like talking to people. It's like, that's all you got to do. Like, just talk to people and engage them in good conversations, ask them like deep, poignant questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I'd been doing that type of thing naturally for a long time. So anyway, I transitioned quickly, and now I'm the host of the Lemonade Stand Stories podcast, which is also on all the platforms and stuff. So it's been
Yeah,
fun.
definitely. People should check it out. It's really good. I've been listening to multiple episodes, and I realized, wow, it really meshes with what my podcast is about too.
Yeah,
And so it's like really cool to listen to it, to kind of like be inspired by how you interact with people and the questions you ask and the stories you can get from people. And everyone has a story. And so it's
absolutely.
caused me to think, who in my life can I reach out to, that
Yeah.
I can get their story from, and what's their angle on the world around them. So it's really cool that authenticity led to opportunity and like built skills
Mm-hmm.
that could lead to other opportunities, and that's great. It's not like it's not only about always just doing something that you're passionate about. It's okay to have success too. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
so
So
good for you, man. I definitely encourage people to check it out. I just I really appreciate you taking the time, man, to
oh,
to
yeah.
come on here and talk with me. Um, I just I want to stay in better contact with you, man.
We-
Especially now that you're in Utah.
and if it means that we have to do a podcast for that,
Yeah.
then so be it. But no, absolutely, we got to stay in better contact. So absolutely, I'd love that.
Yeah, so I know that you're also anything else you want to like bring up? I know you're on The Chosen. Has that been released yet?
No, you know what? That has not been released, and that was a funny story as well. See, again, I feel like my entire life is just full of like random crazy miracles. It's
Yeah.
fun, and like when I'm having the most fun, that's when the success happens for me anyway. For me, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying that everyone else is like that, but I will
But
say
that's your authenticity, right?
my
Having fun.
authenticity.
Maybe someone else having fun all the time is them pretending. Maybe they
Yeah,
like being very serious and
yeah,
stoic or whatever the word is. Um, and it's like just one thought though, and
yeah,
I'll let you. But what you're saying is, I was thinking about this. I heard someone say this recently, trying
yeah.
to remember where, but it's just like you may have like you said, people give you advice. You should do A, B, and C, right? And you say, well, maybe that's not the way I want to do it. It
Hmm.
was like, for instance, comedians are like supposed to be fat. That makes them funny. But some people say to a comedian, "Oh, you can't be fit. You can't be healthy and be funny." But it's
Yeah,
like, well, maybe I want to be. You know what I mean? And maybe
yeah,
that's my authenticity, and it works for that person because they're real.
yeah.
Anyways,
dude.
It's a weird example, but
No, no, no. Here's the thing. That's it though, right?
hmm
Um, as an actor, like sometimes you're constantly changing your look. You know, you're
hmm
constantly changing different things to like I don't know, like right now I've kind of more of a clean cut look, but I've had looks on shows where it's like full beard, like my
hmm
hair's crazy, totally different character, right? But even within those different characters I played, and we talked a little bit about Silicon Valley, and that was a certain look, and that was
hmm
a certain vibe, that was a certain set of clothes, right?
hmm
Even within all of these different roles, you still have to bring your authenticity to it, your power
yeah.
to it. Only that fuels the character, right? And that fuels life. And I think like in life, we go through many, many different phases, right? Sometimes you find yourself in your early 20s and you're young and single and like, okay, what's your authentic self? What's going to happen in that phase of your life? Then
hmm
you might be in your 30s and you're a little bit more established, or in your 40s. I just turned 40, and so it's like, okay, like now it's a totally different phase of life. How do you find authenticity and power and light and love during that phase, right? um but we were talking a bit about The Chosen, and if I don't know if your listeners and stuff are familiar with that show, but it's a biblical show about the life of Christ told through the apostles' perspectives. And I had auditioned for this show multiple times, and I just didn't get anything. But I was friends with the director and producer of the show and everything. And the director was like, hey, listen, you didn't get anything, but you're a good enough actor, and we're going to find something for you. And I'm like, all right, hey, no problem. But again, I was like, as long as it's real and it feels authentic, like, yeah, sure, that
hmm
sounds awesome, right? Well, as it turns out, last year, like September-ish, I was putting together a movie. I was producing a movie. So I produce as well as I act. And while I was getting ready to produce this movie, I got hit up by the director of The Chosen. He's like, hey, how fast can you grow a beard? And I'm like, I don't know, like in a couple of weeks, I could probably have something. And he's like, well, there's something for you. But then I said, well, listen, here's the deal. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I'm producing a movie. I don't know if I'll be able to make
yeah.
and he said, oh, okay, yeah, no worries. Well, congrats to you. And, just hit me up when you're back. So I hit him back up after a couple of weeks and I said, hey, the movie's done. Do you want me to start growing facial hair out? And he's like, well, there's not really a rule for you right now, but I guess, yeah, grow facial hair out and then we'll just see. So
Mm.
it's very ambiguous, right? So I'm like, all right, whatever. So I started growing facial hair out. And I remember this was probably like end of October, beginning of November. That's what it was. I'd been growing facial hair out for about 10 days or so, and I was at my friend's office, and we just finished up a meeting, and it was like late at night. I think it was like a Monday evening, late at night, and I suddenly was like, I had this thought, maybe I should text a picture of my beard to Dallas. And then the second thought was, that's weird. Why would you text a grown man a picture of your facial
Of
hair?
your grown man's beard, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then the third thought was like, I've done dumber things. Let's just do it. So I took a picture of just like a selfie of my facial hair, and I texted it to Dallas, and I said, hey, Dallas, so this is currently where I'm looking at facial hair wise. And that was it. 2 seconds later, I swear, he texted me back. He's like, emergency question. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, working on The Chosen? Question mark, question mark, question mark. He's like, no, but seriously. If you can, there's a role we would love for you to play. I'm like, wait, are you serious?
mm.
And he's
Mm.
like, but you got to get COVID tested like right now. I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so I had to like rearrange some stuff. But what happened on his end was a lot more intense than what happened on my end. My end, I got the script and all the stuff I got last minute, and then the next day I went to set and I filmed it, and it was amazing, and I got to meet a lot of the cast. What happened on his end was he had the scene that he needed to film, but the first guy that they were going to cast couldn't do it, and the second guy they were going to cast was also in LA, and he just couldn't get COVID tested and fly out in time. Just
Mm.
so much stress. And so Dallas was like looking into flights like late into the night, wondering
Mm.
like what was going to happen. And while he was like so stressed out and like trying to figure out what was going to happen, I randomly texted him a picture of me with a beard, And all of a sudden, he like turns to his producer. He's like, "Dude, Charon's in town. He can totally play the part." And so
It's amazing.
it was
I
crazy. But
I
yeah,
think there's some good takeaways here, man.
yeah,
Like, first of all, it's okay like to be confident in what we're doing, and sometimes we have to say no to things, right?
sure,
And you have to make choices, and you can't kick yourself. Like you got to go with what
yeah,
makes sense at the time, but also maintaining relationships and like listening to those gut. You could call it inspiration. It could be like something from God. It could be something just within the universe, within you. But you should roll with those. It's like I feel that when I reached out to you, I just randomly thought of you and like, you know what? I'm just gonna ask him. And I
yeah,
was like, he might not be able to. And I was kind of, it makes you nervous, right? But then I just did it. Like you text him, and then you messaged me back really quickly, and I was like, you're like, let's do it. And I was like,
yeah,
that's awesome. So
yeah.
yeah, you got to put yourself out there, and you got to listen to those feelings. I've learned that a lot in my life. You just got to like, don't push that stuff away. Reach out to somebody if you think of them.
Well,
But
the thing I love about that is, and auditioning as well taught me a lot of this. But like when you're completely authentic and just like living in your power, you
mhm.
start to develop self love, which I think is awesome. When you're
Hmm.
not authentic, it's hard to love yourself
Huh.
because you're just not authentic. You don't love yourself because you've never been yourself, you know? And and so as a result of that, as a result of that self-love and as a result of being authentic, you can put yourself out there. It doesn't matter what anyone else says because you still love yourself.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing that I got from all the auditions in LA because I auditioned so many times. And one of the big things I learned is how to be okay when people say no to you. Because I got
Wow.
into all the time, right? But there was a point where I was so like confident and full of love in life, I legit didn't care what happened in the audition. I'm like, yeah, that's my dream. I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna go present a character. But whatever happens, it doesn't matter. I'm just stoked I get to have an opportunity to do this.
Mm.
And when my energy was like that, I would book way more.
Hmm.
And I remember 2017, I was like, I felt like I was booking like almost everything or that I was going out for, like TV show wise, right?
Wow.
And it was just one of those things where I was like, wow, like it just is a form of like energy. I would think it just was
Yeah.
a form of like, hey, I was confident, I felt good about myself, and
Yeah.
flowed.
Yeah, and it's very different from being like arrogant or cocky. It's like
Yes,
I can see like when you love yourself and you care for yourself, you see how other people could also enjoy you as well and want to be around you. You
yeah,
know, you start to like believe like, oh, people want to be my friend, people want to work with me, people
yeah,
want to interact with me, and I feel that more as I've kind of matured and grown and had more evidence as you put yourself out there and you see the positive results,
yeah.
making friends, opportunities that come your way. So that's really cool, man.
I think one of the greatest gifts you can give humanity is to love yourself and
Yeah.
be authentic yourself because the moment you do, you give permission for them to do it the same for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And when someone's just always self-deprecating and like I've been there too, you know what I mean? And
Totally.
it can be funny, but it can just go too far and it can become like a habit and a pattern. But
Yeah,
like
self-deprecation. I know I've done it before, and I will say this: that there sometimes is like little truths to what you're saying, and words are
mhm.
powerful. And
Mhm.
if you're not careful, the stuff that you're saying defines who you are. So,
Yeah, definitely. And dude, you have so much awesome things to say, and I just like
come
I
on.
said, I appreciate you coming on here. I want people to check out you in Silicon Valley as Javid, hilarious,
Yeah.
uh, in The Chosen as maybe a different kind of character,
Totally,
and then
totally different character than TV, that's for sure.
yeah.
And it's episode, I think season 2, episode 8.
Oh,
It, has,
cool. That's good to know. It
it
hasn't
hasn't
come
come
out.
out.
Okay, I didn't
No,
see it on your IMDb or anything, so I was like, it must have be
it hasn't come out
forthcoming.
yet. Yeah,
Okay.
forthcoming.
Um, and check out the podcast, Lemonade Stand Stories.
Yes, the Lemonade
Um,
Sacrifice.
that's really cool. And yeah, thanks again, man. And if anybody has any questions, if they have podcast topic ideas or want to add to the conversation, if you have questions for Charon, I could send them his way, man. It
Yeah,
you can email me at nobettertime.podcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and just keep pushing. And this episode will be called Being Authentic with Charon
mm,
because that's what it came down to. It kind of organically became about being authentic, and that's so important. So be authentic today and be true to yourself and show love to yourself and to others, and it's going to take you far. and you're gonna be a lot happier in that process. So it's good for everybody. All right,
Awesome.
man.
All right. Thank you
Sharon,
so much.
have a good one, man.
Yep. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.